I just got ninth on Breakers with one of my favorite cards of all time, Orcish Lumberjack. I think I have a really creative way of fitting Orcish Lumberjack into the vintage metagame, so I'm going to run it through this prelim and see if it's the truth. All right, welcome back, vintage gamers. I absolutely have to play this deck for you because I didn't stream it. I played a 3 a.m. challenge this weekend, and I decided to just do it from the comfort of my bed without any eyes and watchers. And we actually went 4-2 with this brew, an Orcish Lumberjack brew. Just barely missed top 8 on the second Breakers. We tied the 8th place player on Breakers, so it went down to game win percentage, which we did not win. So the idea behind this deck is that Fury and Wasteland and Wrenn and 6 should be theoretically pretty good into a Lurrus Saga metagame, especially Energy Flux is a really strong hoser against the amount of shops that are currently being played, construct tokens, etc. I wasn't really happy with any of the ways that Wrenn and 6 decks were typically constructed. I'm not really a big fan of Deathrite Shaman right now. You can't really be playing a bunch of Moxen in your Energy Flux deck, so it becomes pretty challenging to build a deck where you can try to play this Wrenn and 6 like big Planeswalker shell. What I was able to do is I was able to make it an Orcish Lumberjack deck. Now, this card is a powerful card, but a very all-in style card. 1/1 red orc. When you sack a forest, tap it, sack a forest, add 3 mana of red and green. Now, this does make your mana base garbage. Like, complete garbage. We have a Taiga tropical island forest-based mana base, but you want, like, a red mana on turn 1, so you can play your Lumberjack, but you kind of need a blue mana to play, like, Oko and Dak Faded. It's a mess. But when it does work really well, because this thing accelerates you really quickly to things like Minskin Boo, Hardcast Fury, and your 3-drop walkers. And, you know, returning a forest with Wrenn and 6 can negate the downside of Orcish Lumberjack. So the big challenge in this deck is making a functional mana base that has forest as active Lumberjack. Another challenge is making enough red cards to give it red cards for your Fury. And then the third challenge is enough blue cards for your Force of Will and Force of Negation. I actually think we struck a pretty good line here, and we're able to accommodate all three of those things in a pretty meaningful way. The one thing you do lose out on in this configuration is you pretty much don't have the ability to play Force of Vigor. You can probably get in maybe 2 Force of Vigors, but it's not as reliable. I think I'd rather just have a bunch of access to a bunch of Collector Roofs for Jewel. Now, there's a slight problem in that we are playing a prelim tonight, not a challenge. This was deck specifically made to beat a challenge metagame that featured lots of workshops, and prelim metagames are slightly different than challenge metagames. I actually was able to use the data today and actually take a look at that. Prelims are almost the same as challenges, except there's about double the number of Bazaar players in a prelim as opposed to a challenge, a double number percentage-wise. This deck is not bad versus Bazaar. You do have Wastelands and Recursion, and you have Leylines on the board, but I wouldn't say it's good versus Bazaar. You have a lot of cards that are kind of dead in the Bazaar matchup. So it's possible that playing this deck today in the prelim won't go as well for us as the 9th place finish in the challenge, but I think it would be sad if I didn't play this deck on stream because it's a really, really cool deck. Orcish Lumberjack is one of my absolute favorite cards, and so I wanted to make sure everybody has the ability to see Orcish Lumberjack being played, even if it's not the greatest metagame call for this prelim. So I'll see you in round 1. Are you interested in weekly vintage metagame recommendations? Do you want to see your deck list played on my channel? Or maybe you are just looking for the best way to support my vintage content? Make sure you check out the Patreon link in the description below. Let's battle. All right, round 1 of a challenge. Oh, not a challenge. It's a prelim. We were just talking about challenges. This is like a beautiful example of why the Orcish Lumberjack mana base is quite messy. We don't have a red source for our Lumberjack. If we did, however, we would have turn 2 Boo, which is actually one of the probably the most powerful parts of this deck, is being able to accelerate Boo ahead of schedule. But this has a Wasteland and Forests. I'm going to keep it. My opponent did not reveal Lurrus, so they're not still on Lurrus like they were last time, but there is a basic island. So Soul Ring, that makes me think Tinker. Sensei Stop, maybe? Key, sure. And free untap key. All right, 4 cards left in my opponent's hand. We have the ability to maybe do 1 or 2 forces. Obviously, the best draw in our deck is a red land. That's an 8-drop spell. But it is a blue card for our second force. No wasteland available here with a basic island. Obviously, we're probably try to hold this wasteland as long as we can to hit sagas. It's very important in 2024 that you are using your wastelands to kill sagas most of the time. Unless there's a very, very strong reason to kill a dual land, most of the time you just want to hold the wasteland for a saga because it's quite hard to answer sometimes. I really, really wish this was a taiga, but happens. We came into this knowing that our mana base was problematic. So my opponent has double artifact, so 2 have enough to hardcast force. That's a pretty good reason to wasteland. Oh, okay, absolutely. So that's a problem though. So if I were to wasteland my opponent, they're gonna float mana. And if we were to play Boo post combat, we're missing out on damage. What do we want to do? We could wait. Let's see if we can get them to tap mana. It's also worth noting that this key represents a mana, so they could have tons of different mana. I do think I'm going to wasteland them. And I think we're going to go to second main. Well, another thing they can have is like Spell Pierce. Okay, it looks like a Hull Breacher is happening. Interesting. So, obviously I have 2 draw spells in my hand. How does this work? If I fling a hamster at a Hull Breacher, do I draw cards? I think the answer is no, because damage is state-based action, so we will already finish resolving the ability before Hull Breacher goes to the graveyard. I think the Boo should still be winning, right? Guess they could have a removal spell. I'm gonna try letting this go, and I'm gonna try... So if I go up to 4, this goes down to 1. Not actually sure this is even that good. But I can't get Hardcast Force now, so... There are 3 cards left in their hand. I could always just not attack, right? I could just make a 4/4. It's not even that bad. Probably don't even need to attack, really. I have a 4-mana Planeswalker on turn 2, thanks for the power of Black Lotus. My opponent could have, like, Twister plus Flusterstorm, maybe? They could have double Hull Breacher, I guess, but we have double Force. As for removal for Hull Breacher, we do have 4 Furies in our deck. And 2 Okos. So there's a world where at some point we do kill this Hull Breacher and then we just draw a million cards with our hamster. It's possible. Underground Sea, 3 cards in hand, 1 million mana. Twist him probably. Tinker. So this is Tinker for Vault Key. All right. Force Pitching Cruise. Do you have backup? No backup. Glad we didn't counter Hull Breacher, so we had access to counter for Tinker. I think we're in a very good spot now. I wonder if we're probably even attacking next turn with a 7/7 Trampler. If we have a land drop, then definitely. We definitely do not want a new hamster. And then Wasteland. I don't mind that at all. I think I, in fact, like... They actually had to sack the Soul Ring to try to go for Vault Key, so they're really low on mana. We should be able to tempo them out with a big hamster here. If this thing goes to 2, it's like fine. They have something. They have Fatal Push? No, they have Island Cycling. I guess Island Cycling is a pretty good counter to Wasteland, but they only have one card left in hand and we still have Force. This feels like an attack, right? I guess attacking here doesn't really change the clock though, right? Because if I pump next turn, I'm attacking for 10, and then I'm attacking for 13. Whereas if I attack this turn, they go to 13, and then I go to 10, and they go to 3. Like, also this goes to Face Blaze. It does go to Face Blaze. So there's like really no reason to attack, right? Unless they draw. Oh, right. We don't have to pump the third time. No, I mean, that ends up the same. No, it doesn't end up the same. Okay. Well, I can't do 2 attacks and flings because my Minx is going to die, right? Oh, I just attacked twice and fling. And this thing goes down to 2. Okay. I can't say that I've had many games where Minsk and Boo resolves and stays in play for this long and the game continues. This is definitely an outlier in that situation. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I just didn't even see it. All right, so attack. And then Face Place. Cool. I guess I could have a removal, but I want to target them. Oh, no, sack a creature and then target. Sack a creature. Target. Sweet. Did I break the game? Oh, they got treasures as they died. All right, I mean, that is like one of the big reasons we're playing this deck in my mind. Orcish Lumberjack and Boo, a very powerful combination. If you play any cube, you might have encountered this before. Obviously, I didn't use the Orcish Lumberjack in that situation. I had the Black Lotus, but Orcish Lumberjack kind of does a Black Lotus impression. And so, like, theoretically, we have, 5 Black Lotus effects and 3 Boos to cast off of them, so... So what do we see? We saw Hull Breacher, so some kind of, Twister, Tinker, Saga style deck. Maybe we're looking at something like Pyroblast here. Seems like a pretty good spot for Pyroblast. Beseiju seems like a reasonable spot for Beseiju. Maybe we want some Collector Oofs. Doesn't actually seem like a matchup where you want Fury, even though your opponent has the ability to play, like a Hull Breacher is only threatening because of, that's not only threatening. We do have like Fables and Dak Faden, the pseudo card draw here. I still think Fury is like worse than playing Bolt or something, right? Oh yeah, they could be playing Bowmasters. That's fair. It's like I don't know. We're not drawing that many cards in our deck, right? We have Ancestral Brainstorm, Probe, and then we have Fable, Dak, Cruise. Not sure at all. I'm not even sure like how good Collector Roof is. I'm sure it's fine. Dress Down should be good. Maybe like we are trimming on like some Fables and some Furies. Is Mindbreak Trap actually good against our opponent's deck? It can be, but doesn't mean it always is. Do we want to even have Treasure Cruise at our top end? Not clear. Definitely want Dax and Okos. If we take out too many red cards, these Furies get a lot worse. So maybe the Furies should just be Lightning Bolts. Like, Lightning Bolt is worse against Bowmaster, but Ren and 6 is pretty reasonable against Bowmaster. I think I'm going to err on the side of caution and try to, like, limit the effect that Hull Breacher is going to have on my deck. There's a question of whether or not Flux is actually even that good against my opponent. Flux is pretty good in combination with Collector Roof. They go really well together, and they make Flux better in matchups that it typically wouldn't be in. Flux is not really a card you board in for, like, these Tinker Saga decks. Flux is more of a card for, like, traditional shops. But Collector Roof can definitely up the ante there. So this stand doesn't have a force, so we are at the will of the turn 1 Tinkers and stuff, but it does have Strip Mine for Saga and the ability to play Collector Roof. Is that enough? I want to say it's not enough. Having no turn 1 play and no force just doesn't feel like something you're allowed to do in a Tinker Saga matchup, so let's mulligan this hand. This doesn't really make it much better. But I think I'm gonna not go down to 5. We do have extra options in terms of Wasteland, and then we do have obviously the Wasteland Ren and 6 lock. Not as good if my opponent has On-Color Jet, On-Color Sapphire. Maybe we'll draw Black Lotus Flux. Island Cycle. See if they get a basic or not. They got a Volcanic, so they're Grixis Saga. Okay, so maybe they're the True Hero deck. I do think because of how far behind we are in this game. Oh boy. All right, how about a Black Lotus? I'm so dead in this game. I'm gonna just wasteland them because if we're so far behind, I feel like we need to shoot for the moon, like give them access. I think they specifically chose Volcanic over getting something like a basic island. So, and we have a wasteland to cover a saga, but we are very much in trouble here. Obviously, we knew that. Oh, they didn't have a follow up land. Okay, sick. But they could still have like Vampiric for key or something. This is a classic Mox Sapphire Ren and 6 draw. It's just something that happens. All right, no end of turn effect from my opponent. 5 cards in hand. No land drop. Okay. Boo. I think I'm going to try to bait a counterspell with my Ren and 6. Flux is so good here, though. I think I'm just going to Flux. Playing Flux does turn off my ability to draw Force of Will, which is a little bad. No. We're back to vintage. We had 2 nice donation deck lists. So there's Force pitching Flusterstorm. Flusterstorm's a lot worse against us than Spell Pierce. Spell Pierce would have been so good here. What this does is it still lets us play Ren and 6 plus Wasteland next turn. They drew Top Deck Tutor as well. Oh, Bowmaster. Okay, so they are on Bowmaster. I don't know if that like makes us reevaluate. You know, if that makes us reevaluate our board plan. Maybe we want Fury a little bit more now. But Ren and 6 is pretty good against Bowmaster, so go. Shoot the Bowmaster. This thing attacks it, and this thing just pluses every turn. 3. Collector Oof looks really good on this board as well. I would like to draw. I mean, like the worst thing that can happen here is really I draw Force right after I played Energy Flux. Shit. All right, this is the maximum punish for my choice of play. I think I'm supposed to just play Boo here. And then just hope that we draw some blue card on the next turn and hope we don't die before then. Man, I really got punished for my choice of play. I don't know if my opponent would have forced Ren and 6. Like, it's possible they just wouldn't have forced Ren and 6 and it wouldn't have mattered, but I would love to have a force right now. Though, I guess if my opponent, like, didn't force Ren and 6 and had Fluster Force, it would have been, like, really bad, right? Opponent could have played an end-of-turn Hull Breacher there, attacked and killed Boo. It's not even that bad for me, though, as this 4/4 is, like, pretty strong on this board. Needle. Okay, that's interesting. So Boo is locked down, but we still have a 4/4 trample. And we still have Wastelands. Ren and 6. Oh, they just had Vault Key. Sick. So frustrating. And we would have drawn blue and draw Dak Vaden. We probably would have Dak Vaden and just stole the key of the vault. That's super frustrating. My opponent didn't even play a Saga or anything. They just naturaled Vault Key with no draw spells and no tutors. But like again, I think this is my fault, right? I have 6 forces to draw to. I should just play the Wrenn and 6 instead of playing the energy flux, probably. Yeah, let's just bring in a Fury. Seems fine though. We also like didn't draw a Collector Roof. We didn't draw, you know, I still think it's probably my fault for just not holding the flux for one more turn. Give ourselves the opportunity to draw force. I don't know if that actually would counter Wrenn and 6, but they like baited by misstep with a play there. I guess we're really low on blue count right now. Right? 8, 12, 16, 20. Still not even that bad. Ah, the classic 4 planeswalker hand. That's no good. Lumberjack with no forests. Blue card, Dak faded. I mean, we're keeping this hand, but we're not happy about it. The classic 1 volcanic island, my Orcish Lumberjack deck is... We have not had the best Lumberjack hands, I will admit. Blue, red, Dak. Obviously, Lotus Dak on turn 1 is not actually that good of a play, because this is card selection, not card advantage, but we're still going to make the play. And we're going to bluff Pyroblast, which we did not have. All right, well, we have like very little going on. My opponent mulliganed to 6. They kept in Fluster against us. Even if we were to draw a forest right now, we don't actually have a follow-up Planeswalker. So things are pretty bad. We don't even have like a green land, so we can't even play a Collector Roof if we draw it. So, I mean, we're actually like in just a terrible spot. But I couldn't mulligan again, so there wasn't really much I could have done about this situation. What it really all just comes back to, oh, they have Fatal Push for my 4 creatures. I guess they were dying to the hamster, so I guess that's how it is. Well, I drew a Wasteland, which means they're getting Wastelanded. You know I top 9, I top 9 with this deck on Sunday, right? This is not a meme. This is a deck that I brewed to beat a certain metagame. Attack fade in. No, at least we have force backup. Saga Gaming. Well, there goes our ability to Dak fade in. Though I guess if we hit a land, we are still down. We are still Dak fading. Because we can just plus our Dak fade in, and then next turn we can Wasteland their Saga and Taiga. Doesn't really matter if it's a Taiga. I guess. Blue, red, blue. It's probably a Taiga. I guess if this gets countered, it's the worst case scenario, but because we have a Wasteland, I think we're allowed to do this. I mean, if they have a Bowmaster, they have a Bowmaster. I'm not beating it, so. Sweet. I can't play around it, right? I have to make the play. I mean, I could play around it. I could not play it, keep open forest and Wasteland, but I just don't feel like that's a winning play. It's like a not losing play, right? I'm not really convinced we're in like an amazing spot if I do that. Maybe it's fine because my opponent has no Moxen, but we're actually like in a crazy good spot if this resolves, right? My opponent is in trouble. I get to Wasteland this Saga. If they make a construct in response, I just steal the construct. And then I have Wrenn and 6 Wasteland loop. So, I mean, I think we're in a pretty good spot. If my opponent doesn't make it and they just play a Hull Reacher, then that is what it is. but we still have the ability to see that coming. Is there any reason to wait till after I draw? Because there's a lot of times where I guess we could just go into the draw step. Let's go into the draw step because there's a lot of times where I don't want them to like, I want to be able to play pre-combat or something. Let me just stop in my draw step here. Time walk. All right. No wasteland your Urza Saga. Oh wait, I guess this means like they can respond and like kill Dak, but they could have always done that, right? So I don't think that matters. All right, they are not making a construct into my Dak, but now they have to use this mana before they go into main phase. So if they don't have a Hull Breacher, maybe again that doesn't really matter. Oh wow, we actually they had nothing, nothing, nothing. I mean, I don't think I'm activating Dak. I think I'm just playing Ren and 6 and plussing. Those are 2 red mana. Like now, there's no real reason for me to activate Dak. I don't have anything that I want to draw to. I'm exposing myself to a top deck Bowmaster. And I have this Time Walk that I do want to cast and gain advantage with. So I think now I just don't even up my Dak. I just leave my Dak at 4. Oh, I guess I get to play this Wasteland, don't I? Okay, that's fine. Like normally you'd want to just loot with the Dak anyways, but there's like an actual risk to looting with the Dak. Well, my opponent still has a basic island in their deck, don't they? So this just gets Ancestral Recall. I mean, we're still going to hit the Underground Sea and limit their mana, but they can the only real card they can get here is Ancestral Recall. Waste their fetch. I don't know if that's better. Like, I get it. It's cute. Is it actually better? Like, know I understand why. I understand exactly why you're saying this. I'm just trying to make sure it's actually better. I'm not really convinced it is. But if they fetch and get nothing, if they fetch and get a basic, still fine. If they fetch and they don't fetch and they have it, it's better. If they fetch and get an Underground Sea. Oh, let's try it. I'm down. It's not unreasonable, or I wouldn't consider it at all, but I'm just not sure it's better. All right, so they kept Ancestral on top, and now we have access to Wastelanding this Underground Sea. Or maybe the Saga they play after the Ancestral. We draw a bunch of Mox in here. That'd be bad for us. Not much we can really do about that. I guess we have a deck fade in, so it's not that bad. If they had a Saga in hand and went for Needle off Vamp, that's interesting. Could happen. It doesn't matter, though, if I think that's bad for me both ways, right? That's bad for me no matter what. All right, my opponent got the basic island here. They have 4 cards in hand now, but we have Time Walk. And we have the ability to deck fade if we want. Sapphire. That's almost certainly going to be deck faded away. So let's just start with Wasteland on this so I don't get dazed. Not that I think I'm going to get dazed, but... Yeah, no. I like I said, I think your line has merit. I'm just trying to think of like how that backfires. Did they draw force? No. I am gonna plus my deck and see if I can find a better card here. Uh, I mean, we're always wastelanding next turn. Well, the Mox allows us to play a Boo off the top. That's the only thing I'm thinking about. And it's not like we need more wastes. But I also like don't want to expose myself to a collector roof, so I think it's just fine to get rid of these. I think Teferi's response is pretty valuable right now. Like the games are all decided by Wasteland. Every game right now in Vintage is decided by Wasteland, so there's no reason for us not to start by dacking. Well, first I think we're just supposed to up this Ren and 6 to give us the most options. And then I think with 3 cards in hand, we dack ourselves. And then we choose what to do from there. Let's just put away this and this. We wasteland this. And then we play a collector roof. That really shuts off most shenanigans. Looking like a locked up game here. Wasteland's completely broken, for sure. Here's our basic. That's the counter to Wasteland. And a key that's turned off. So I'm just going to plus on Wasteland and then dack myself. Theoretically, I could steal this key to give myself the least amount of chances to die, but I have so many cards in hand now that it's just better for me to dack with all these cards in my hand. I see. All right, well. Ren Emblem Time Walk, true. Maybe I should have kept that second Ren and 6. I think I kept what land, so maybe I should have kept Ren and 6. No reason not to dack myself first here besides before making this choice. I think I'm going to plus my Ren first. I have a negation. I guess I should have kept the second collector roof, huh? Should I be getting cards out of my library, or does it not matter? I think here we just wait one turn, then we can go infinite time walks, because every turn we'll plus get a land with our Ren and 6 and cast time walk with Retrace. All right, my opponent is making me do it, which is fine. All right. Instants and sorceries have. I guess they could have negation. So I should play a land out so that I can negate this. Just take this for fun. I could cast a second one, but I think it's better to just hold up negation so that I don't get negated, and then attack my opponent enough times to win. Whatever. I think I'm just done here. GG. What do you want me to do? Blow up the island with what? Beseiju does not target basics, so this is a nice example of like going over the top of what our opponent is doing and playing a pretty solid control role. So nice game. All right, welcome to round 2 of our vintage prelim. Wow, not Doomsday. I thought for sure it would be Doomsday, but it's actually Lurrus. I have a Force, a Wasteland, some Planeswalkers. Hand looks sweet. Let's keep. I like this hand. If I draw like an Orcish Bowmaster, not an Orcish Bowmaster, an Orcish Lumberjack. So that does bring up a very strong point. Orcish Lumberjack is very weak against Orcish Bowmaster. So if your opponent does that, you can end up in trouble. Opponent's got the nice Island Mox Time Walk start. Underground Sea. And put Lurrus in hand, maybe? Okay. We have a nice answer to Lurrus here. They didn't play a Saga, so there will be no strip mining this turn. Any Lumberjacks? No Lumberjacks. So a problem here is my opponent's probably on 4 Bowmaster, which makes Lumberjack a wee bit of an issue. Let's represent blue and red. It's probably the most dangerous land to play. Obviously, I'm not doing very much, but my opponent's on Lurrus, so it's not like I'm super behind or anything. Haywire Might, not a card we worry about in our deck. Though it does kill, it does exile Energy Flux. Could be relevant. Looks like they're not going to play out the Lurrus, and it's now our go. Something we do have to worry about is Spell Pierce. Another Fury. All right. Probably have Hardcast Negation as well. My opponent's deck has 8 forces, 4 negation, 4 will. Yo, welcome Jarvis Raiders. And of course, Punishing Waterfall Raiders, which I missed in the middle of us taking infinite turns with Time Walk. This Bowmaster is definitely a Resolver. At this point, we have multiple answers to it. This is at some point a clock, though. What we don't have is a second blue card, so it's hard for us to play this Oko here. Don't have a 4th red card for Fury, and we don't really want to Fury this board until they play a Lurrus. Once they play a Lurrus, then Fury is online. This looks like a Lurrus, though. Big. All right. Maybe they have Flusterstorm or Spell Pierce back up. They only have 2 cards in hand. I really like our spot. Thanks, Jarvis. Have a good one. And we drew a Lumberjack. Okay, so play Tropical Island, cast Fury, try to kill Lurrus, Bowmaster, and Haywire Might. Seems pretty good. We're going way, way over the top of these Lurrus Saga decks with our build here, which is really, really nice. I think at this point we don't really need this Lumberjack, so let's pitch the Lumberjack. They have to have exactly Force of Will blue card here to stop a Fury. And it's so good against this Lurrus. And currently, blue-black doesn't really play... currently, my opponent's deck doesn't play like a Reanimate or a way to bring back Lurrus. So, can be tough. All right, so here I have 2 damage on Lurrus, a damage on Bowmaster, and a damage on Haywire Might, killing off their whole board except for this Orc army. And they can't really bring back this in any way. So, I put ourselves as extremely winning here. We still have a strip mine for a Saga. I'm not going to play the Oko because my opponent can have Spell Pierce, but also because I just want to have Force of Will backup for this Boo, really. I mean, the Oko is probably also winning. Wasteland of their own. That definitely makes it worse off for us that we played this Lumberjack. So now they have 5 mana, 2 cards. Blue card? A new Lumberjack. It's so weak against another Bowmaster, though. But they didn't have a Lorien revealed this turn. But if they play a Wasteland, it's pretty bad, too. Let me go look at the last blue-black list. Probably from Mogged. 1 Shredder, 4 Bowmaster, 2 Spell Pierce, and a Daze? Jesus. I'm going to play out the Lumberjack. It just makes sense with the way my opponents played this game and the way their deck is constructed. Worst thing for me here is a Wasteland, for sure. All right, we dodge Wasteland. Is this dig through time? Oh, this is Hardcast Lorien. Maybe they have the 1 Flusterstorm. I'm just going to force this. I have Spell Pierce covered. Sweet. So if I draw a land, I don't even have to Lumberjack. Sweet. I mean, they can Daze or Spell Pierce, and it just makes me use my Lumberjack, which is fine. This deck is so sick. Ugh. I'm having such a good time. I think I'd rather just try to end this game than, like, shoot the Bowmaster token and draw a card. Next turn we can cast Fury if we want. Oh, they're just flooding out, though. Bobble. All right, so they get to look at their top card, see if they want it. If not, fetch away. Just going to F6. Yeah, opponent has drawn pretty much every land in the deck. That's an accurate analysis from the opponent. All right, looking at the top card. Let's see if they want it. They're fetching it away. They don't want it. Oh, wait, are they out of fetchables? They're just out of fetchables, right? They fetch an Underground Sea here, and they can't even fetch off of this land. I'm just gonna trade my Lumberjack because I know my opponent. I don't need to trade my Lumberjack. I can have Fury up. All right, the question. All right, there's no question anymore. Yeah, but like I can't cast the Fury without the Lumberjack, so I mean that's not true. Like I'll just cast this Fury. Like I'll just cast it and have a 3/3 double striker. Like it's actively good on their board. Like I don't actually need to Fury a Bowmaster. Like, I think there's a pretty high chance this turn that I just cast Fury, kill their 1/1, and make a 3/3 double striker. Like, I'm pretty sure the way my opponent's deck is set up, they have, like, 1 repeal, 1 push. They can't actually remove a Fury from the battlefield. I guess at this point they could repeal a Fury because they have every land in their deck. But, like, something you look at when you see these control decks in Vintage is, like, they have to be extremely tuned for what they're trying to beat, which means they're vulnerable to other things. Like this deck is extremely vulnerable to like large creatures. Like obviously they play a bunch of Soul Rends to try to make up for that against Mono White, because Mono White is your one like large creature deck. But if you like come at them from different angles that they're not really ready for, you can really abuse these controlling decks. So Question, do we want Collector Roof? Opponent is 5 Moxen, Soul Ring, 4 Bauble. And their Baubles are their card draw engine. They do have Lorien revealed. Like, I just think Lumberjack is really rough here against 4 Bowmaster that I kind of want to just bring in some oofs here. I don't actually think we want Bolt, but I do not mind Pyroblast. And then I want Beseiju. I don't want Negation. My opponent can play Volt Key, but that's not really the battle, the axis you fight on in this matchup typically. And especially when I'm bringing in Collector Roof. Mind Break Trap, similar. So the question is, like, do I want a Bolt or a single Lumberjack or a Negation or a Trap? And I still think Flux is actually fine in this matchup. It's not great, especially if my opponent's not on Bolt Key. But I think it's fine. I think we'll just play a Bolt and be, like, happy about the ability to, like, have a Bolt when we want to go, like, boo, sack, and draw cards or something, maybe. Not sure. It also depends on, like, which version of the deck my opponent is playing. My opponent can be playing the Mog version that has no Time Vault, no Key, no Time Twister. But you could also play Vault Key Twister. No mana. Mulligan. Sucks because we have the Ruby. If we had just a fetch land, I'd probably just jam. Sure. I almost want to just get rid of Pyroblast. Because, like, at what point am I casting Pyroblast in this game? But Boo is also a 4-mana card. I'm going to try putting the Pyroblast away. I mean, there's nothing on turn 1 that I'm going to hit with Pyroblast. Jeez, Saga's so good here, though. I don't have a Wasteland. I don't have a Moxen to play Collector Roof, and they have their own double Moxen start. Kind of need a Moxen of my own or a Wasteland. 5 Wastelands plus 4 Moxen. That is a good one. That is a good one. I think this is bait with red and 6, then play Collector Roof. They could also have a counter for this, for what it's worth. Yeah, they had negation. Good play from the opponent. This means they get 1 construct. No follow-up land. All right, well, if they have a Force of Will, it's bad. But if they don't have a Force of Will, it's fine. Ooh, nice draw. I guess a Wasteland is kind of bad for us too, but... Tropical, Taiga... Oof, there it is. Yo, what's up, Lord Breakfast? Thanks for the raid. Hope you had a good stream. They're going to make a construct, and then the oof resolves. Sweet. And this means this land turned into a vanishing land. Ooh, I think we're in a great spot here. I have a force. If I hit a land drop, I have a Dak Fade in. If I don't hit a land drop and they have a wasteland, it's kind of bad. That's probably the worst case scenario, right? Is they have a wasteland and I don't hit a land drop. Because if I hit a land drop and they have a wasteland, then I can play Ren and 6 and... Is this going to be Ren and 6? Dak Faden, maybe. Maybe they named Dak Faden. That'd be a pretty sick name. I only have 2 Dak Fadens in my deck. They named Ren and 6. They have Wasteland, maybe? No Wasteland. Okay. So, even if this doesn't work, we're in a great spot. Probe. No reason not to. Ancestral Bowmaster, Bowmaster. Ah! How many cards are in my yard? 3. I don't have that many turns. I did probe, which made this an extra turn faster, but like any land wins. I don't know. This needle was good. They hit land off the top, so now they have Ancestral. They also have Cruise. I'm at 7. Land? Land. All right. Blue, red, wasteland, activate in. Steal this. All right. So now if they hit a land, they have Bowmaster, which can kill Dak Faden immediately. Of course. All right. Well, now we need to hit our land. They're getting closer to Cruise mana too. Fable. Not a combination. It's not, because we have a Collector Roof. It's part of the reason I trimmed some of the Fables. I mean, we still play it. Does grow our construct for what it's worth as well. We could also like draw cards through Bowmaster, but 2 Bowmasters is kind of a lot of Bowmasters to draw cards through. So what did they draw? This must be a cycle. That puts them 1 card away from Treasure Cruise. I might lose this game. That's wild to me, but I might lose this game. They're going to shoot this construct. They have Treasure Cruise in hand as their last card. They actually drew CC, so they can technically buy Lurrus at some point as well. This looks losing. I guess if I hit a land drop, I play Boo, which is pretty damn good. If I hit a Fury... this is not a good spot. It was a good spot, and then it was not a good spot. My opponent hit Island C in a row. Was not ideal for me. Even after... it's okay. Play it out. Actually, they have enough mana to cruise no matter what. Hit the land. So now we got Boo action. Is that enough? It's gonna be close. They cast Cruise this turn. I can't pick off their Orcish Bowmasters because I have not been able to activate Ren and 6 once this game because my opponent had their 1 needle. I mean, Cruise takes a whole turn. You're right. They did tutor it. That's totally fair. That's totally fair. I forgot. Valid. Very valid. My opponent drew the island, so I had to force their ancestral, and then they drew the underground sea, so they got to play Bowmaster. That's the part where it was a little rough. The saga going to completion was totally normal happening here with the way I had drawn my hand. The good news is technically we can waste them off Lurrus, but it's probably not very effective. The good news is like this is really strong, though they can just like cruise into Blackland Fatal Push, right? They drew Feed the Swarm, kill Collector. That is bad. So now they have an extra 2 mana. They cast Cruise. They attack and Boo. Oh, I guess it doesn't kill Boo. So it doesn't actually matter unless they draw more removal. Wasteland. It doesn't look like it's good enough. Doesn't look like their Cruise drew them very good cards, right? It must have drawn them Sapphire Wasteland. Put Lurrus in hand. I can Wasteland their C still, too. Prelims are always 4 rounds. That's true. They could be sandbagging Sapphire. That's very true. Time Walk would have killed Boo. True. Oh, they have Pearl. Shit. You're right. I mean, we might still be doing that. Kind of depends. Lumberjack is one of my all-time favorite Magic cards. 1 attack at Boo. 2 attacks at Boo. Okay. Oh. We also get a 2/2 next turn, for what it's worth. All right, 1 attack at Boo. Time Walk? Any Time Walkers? Huh. I don't have the mana for that. Not a bad draw, though. I mean, it's just plus attack, right? Like, there's really no other line. Because I didn't have attack throw. I don't think I'm wastelanding. Worth noting, if we find a red card, we can play Fury, pitch cast, and copy it. I mean, my opponent has 1,000,000 mana here. They're going to rebuy their Bowmaster, but that's not good enough, right? Yeah, I don't think that plays very good. I definitely considered it, but... I mean, this is up to a 10/10. They actually, the block does put them in a position where if I were to sack and my opponent were to Fatal Push Boo in response, I can't sack Kiki Jiki Reflection in time, or like to do enough damage, which is kind of interesting. Bobble. Because my opponent does have Fatal Pushes, right? Or maybe it's just 1 Fatal Push. 1 Fatal Push, 1 Snuff Out, maybe? Are they going to go double Bobble, or are they going to go Bowmaster? They might have to go double Bobble, try to find Fatal Push. One card in hand. They're drawing 2 on our upkeep. They have double Wasteland. I assume they'll take me off of red. Agreed. The lemon. That's true. We could waste their C, and we're probably supposed to. That probably just locks the game up. Do it on their end step. I don't know. They both have very apparent weaknesses. I think they're both just metagame calls. All right, so my opponent draws 2 cards. They have to have. I get they don't. They can't have anything, right? There's just absolutely nothing. They can have repeal. They can have repeal. They can have repeal. So I should just throw at them if I get to go to my main phase. No, they would repeal in response. No, because I can make a Kiki Jiki reflection in response. Let me just think about this. If I sack... No, I can't make a Kiki Jiki. Yeah, so I just sack, and they have to repeal, and then... Oh, that's only a 1/1, though. I mean, what do I do, though? Like, if they have repeal here, like, how do we play this out? That's what I'm interested in. Like, we attack, they repeal, and then what do I do? Fling the 2/2? Put them to 1? Draw 2 cards? Like, that's not very good, right? Yeah, but like, what is... what does sacking a 2/2 do? Yeah, but they're at 3. This doesn't have trample or haste. Oh, kill Lurrus. I see. And then they have Bowmaster attacking Boo. Okay, yeah, that seems fine. I'm okay with that. Because we didn't draw a red card this turn, or else it's very easy. We just play Fury. I'm not 100% sure we're winning the game where we're going -2, throw Reflection at Boo after they repeal with a Bowmaster and 3 cards in hand, but... I mean, they only have 1 out. It's repeal. I'm just trying to see how we would play the game if they had repeal. GG's, Brian. It was a wild one. All right, onward to round 3. I have a Wasteland against possible Squee. Fury negation. Yeah, I think this is a keep. It's not a good hand, but I think this is a keep against my opponent's range. I think I like this keep. I mean, people should already be playing more basics. Like, Wasteland is the single most important card in Vintage right now, so I think like, having extra basics in your deck is invaluable. So this at least, I have an answer to a Bazaar. I have an answer to combo, and I have an answer to a creature deck. This hand needs a lot of help, but I think it's a fine keep. If they're Oath, I have a counter, and then I have a waste. So, and if I draw any red land, I can maybe get a Ren lock going. A full Ren lock, because it's a strip mine as well. See what they have for us. Opponent obviously has range, but they do have preferences as well. Black Lotus. Just gonna negate it. Why main Flux? Because I think it's good right now. We actually haven't really played against Flux matchups, but... Vintage is a format that really really rewards you for powerful and correct narrow answers. So playing cards like Pyroblast in the main, Flux in the main are totally normal and acceptable things, and can really be highly rewarding in the right metagames. It also helps up the blue count, is a very correct point from Louis. So multiple reasons, but like, so if you look at the metagame from last weekend's challenge, there were the most played archetype was Bazaar deck, not Bazaar decks, workshop decks. And so if people are going to play workshop decks as the most played archetype, and the second most played archetype are Urza Saga construct control decks, Flux actually goes up in value a ton. So if I were to like bring up the metagame sheet and narrow it down, my opponent's back. It's gonna show y'all last weekend's data. I can still do that while we wait. 1/1/24. Ooh, I did not type in that date right. 1/1/24. So here's the data from last weekend. Lurrus Saga the most played, and then Prison, Jewel, and Aggro Shops as the second, third, fourth most played. Or fifth most played, sorry. 30% of the metagame last weekend was shops, and so I played main deck Fluxes, and I got rewarded with a 9th place finish with this deck. So my opponent had a follow-up Mana Crypt for their Black Lotus, which is notably quite bad for us. Ancient Tomb. Is it shops? Yeah, this is combo shops, and that's a 1 ring. We need that Flux back. Somebody give us the Flux back. Yeah. That is probably just game. It's my own fault for countering the Black Lotus instead of trying to counter their payoff, but I think it was fine in the abstract, but obviously if I knew my opponent was going to be on Jewel Shops, I definitely would not have done the play I did. My cards are really, really bad here. The good news is our deck is quite good against Jewel. We have a lot of really strong answers, and it gets better post-board. But we are probably just dead to this ring, I would say. Yeah, so like it is my fault. Like I could have just not countered this Black Lotus and held the negation and then negated the ring, but I didn't actually expect my opponent to be on Jewel, for what it's worth. Of the decks I expected them to be on, this was not one of them. Ring's sweet on turn 1 in Vintage. I think if you play it on more than like turn 2, it's not very good in Vintage, but if you can get like Ancient Tombs in your deck, Workshops, etc., it gets pretty good. Well, I mean, the ring, like, outside of exactly Jewel, hasn't really done anything. All right, I'll just concede to this. This is not really worth playing out. But I definitely got punished for my negation, so. Oh, I think Jewel is in a horrible spot. Jewel was in a great spot, and then everyone metagamed for it, and it's very easy to beat the deck. Jewel has been putting up, like, sub 40% win rates in the last couple challenges. I have multiple main deck Mindbreak traps. I have Collector Roofs, Energy Fluxes, Beseju. Energy Flux is not like the end-all be-all in this matchup, but it pairs so well with Oof. It's not too big a deal. And then, of course, we get to take out Fury, because Fury is garbage here. And then we can take out Mental Misstep and Gataxian Probe. I think I want all of my other magic cards. Maybe Probe is better than Fable just because it's a blue card, though. Like, Jewel is a very powerful deck, don't get me wrong. It's just a very vulnerable deck. It dies very hard to people who are ready for the deck, so. I don't know. I think Jewel's fine. It is what it is. I don't really think Pyro is good against my opponent's deck. They can't really cast blue spells. I think Pyro's, like, just not that good. Also, it's like really hard for me to hold open mana. Like I'm just gonna jam my spells on. Like I'm kind of a tap out deck, not really a control deck. The big thing Pyroblast is like really good for in this deck is to like kill opposing Okos. Pyroblast is a card that has not been very good recently. Just a lot of decks in the format that don't really care or about their blue spells getting countered, or they're not really like playing big blue spell payoffs. Like it's not actually that good against Lurrus. Because their best spells are Lurrus and Urza Saga, and then it's not like there's like no PO decks running around. Like obviously Jewel plays PO, I understand that, but there's no like dedicated blue combo decks running around really. Do we have any outs to Masticore? So I have left in Furies and Bolts in the past, but I think it's just like kind of garbage. So I do technically have a Beseiju in my deck, and I have a Dress Down, so I could dress it down and then deck it or something. I don't have very many Masticore, but I'm also like not sure everyone is on Masticore anyways. Like a lot of time these Jewel Pilots are like, I'll play 0 outs to Null Rod, I'll just dodge it. You want to side out Ren or Minsk instead of what? Rather than MM. What's MM? Oh, Mental Misstep. Oh, I think Mental Misstep is like so bad against my opponent's deck. I really don't like Misstep against really don't like Misstep against Jewel. I get why. I mean, like they have some powerful blue cards. I get that, but like the thing is like they're not casting turn 1 Ancestral Recall because they don't have enough blue sources in their deck. So like it's not like it's not like you're playing against another blue opponent who has all blue lands in their deck and can always cast Ancestral Recall on every single, turn 1. Like Ancestral Recall is like a pitch card to force / you cast it on turn 5. My hand does not have a second blue card, and I didn't draw a force or a blue, so I could just die here, but I think I'm always keeping Collector Roof plus Ancestral. Maybe there's like a compelling reason to like cast Ancestral on my turn in case I draw exactly Black Lotus, but that kind of feels like a lot. There's like Ancestral Soul Ring, Mana Vault, something, maybe? I don't know. It's not very many. There are obviously very powerful hits, though. Oh god, are we playing turn 1 Ring? Ring-a-ding-ding? Well, I'm gonna have to hope this Collector Roof resolves. 1 key, right? Alright, well, if my opponent has blue card force, they win. If they don't have blue card force, we continue playing Magic. Let's see what happens. I could draw Force of Will right now, too. Or, hear me out. I could also not draw Force of Will right now. Alright. Oof resolves. So now their next best out is Dismember. They could also have Workshop Argentum Masticore. Or they could have nothing. Oh, they have Saga. Saga's a pretty good one here. Obviously, I have Saga covered, but... Ooh. Ancestral. Seagate Ancestral. Oh, they could have Metamorph. Just to block. Time Walk. Sure. 12 life. Mana Vault. 3 cards left in hand. My opponent's deck is just like extremely cold to Null Rod Collector Roof. That's just how it is. Null Rod is better than Collector Roof because it can't get dismembered. But like most of the time, their deck just folds over in half if you play a single card that disrupts their artifacts. And like we're pretty vulnerable here in this game, but it is what it is. So if I press my advantage here, they go to 9, they go to 8, and then I would play Boo, and they would go to... Yeah, I mean, like, that can happen, but, like, a lot of these decks are not even playing Masticore at all. They're just playing Dodge Null Rod. I think I'm just going to Wasteland the Seagate Reborn. Obviously, I can never play this Dress Down here. That's fine. Mostly, I just want to draw a blue card Mostly, I just want to draw a Force with my blue card. So here they go to 8. Drew a Saga. Time Walk. So if I Time Walk... I mean, I'm going to Time Walk, right? No matter what. And then play a Wasteland in case I draw a second Wasteland. And then this is exactly 6. So I guess we'll just do that. I guess theoretically they could have a force at this point and then make a construct, but I don't think that's winning either, so... Okay, sweet. That went well. I mean, that's exactly how this matchup is supposed to go, especially post-board. You'll definitely find different kind of rug decks that play these 4 collector groups in the main. I think that's totally fine. I just was trying a different approach with like more blue cards and lumberjacks and like more boo. I really like boo. I think boo is really strong. So, not me. No props wanted mental misstep over like a boo or a Ren. I guess like Ren is not super necessary as a 3-of in this matchup. And we're on the draw. I kind of think I'm okay with that actually on the draw. It makes a little bit more sense on the draw, right? Just gives us more possible action. It's not like we're doing red loops for that much of this. Like all of this, these games are going to come down to like force of will and collector roof, right? There's a question of, do we want an additional answer to like a master core? I still think the answer is no. Yeah, I think it's fine. Like I'm not like super in or out on mental misstep. I'm like definitely more of the camp that it's not that good, and if you have better cards, play better cards. But like here on the draw, I'm not really convinced that Ren and 6 is a better card. Number 3, Ren and 6 even. This one's not good enough. I have to have a force in my opener. It's just the like the nature of the game for Jewel. Jewel, you have to think of Jewel like a more resilient oops all spells. They're looking to either play a turn 1 ring or Jewel, or play a turn 2 ring or Jewel with force backup, or Saga. So that does make it tough because like sometimes you'll like have the counter spells but not have the Saga answer. But like these are things you have to be aware of. Like this one's pretty nice. If this had a force in it, I have a Saga answer, a Flux is pretty decent, but like you just can't keep this hand without a force. This hand has multiple forces, Flux, Trap, Dack. So I'm gonna keep this one. Would I have kept it with a Lotus? No. I think you absolutely need a force. I think it's just like playing against oops all spells. So this hand is like not, so Flux is awkward because Flux on its own is like not actually amazing versus Jewel. Flux is much better against Prison and like sphere-based shop stacks. I'm definitely keeping this hand. I'm just trying to figure out what I'm doing with it. I think I'm putting back a negation. And then I'm keeping my spells to play Dack. Keeping my artifacts to play Dack or Flux. And then I have the option, though I guess I have to pitch Dack or Flux depending on what I want to pitch to negation. I mean, the end all be all here is I'm never casting 2 negations though, right? I have this as my secondary negation. Yep, Ruby resolves. What this hand doesn't have is a Wasteland. So like, it's a little annoying versus Saga, but if opponent plays like a Saga Go hand, then we probably just have to slam Flux instead of Dack. Possibly. We could still steal Ruby. I mean, yes, but like us winning the game is the secondary thing. First, we have to not lose. Like, we'll draw lands eventually. You just have to like our role in this matchup is to be as controlling as possible and stop our opponent from doing what they're trying to do. Now, there are some like different things that you can do as the dual player. Like you could play some slower hands, you can play around Mindbreak Trap, you can bring in Defense Grid Wormcoil. Defense Grid Wormcoil is a way they like to beat like controlling decks, but our deck is actually pretty decent against Wormcoil with Dak Faden and Oko. So my opponent is playing Ruby Go. Or are they just testing a Force of Will check? Little F6 check, maybe? There's no way I would F6 at any point versus Jewel, even if I had nothing. I think they're just like considering their options. Playing around Trap, playing a slow draw. If they like played Saga and say go, then for us, I think it's just Black Lotus, Ruby, Dak. Unfortunately, we can't protect our Dak from a Force because we have a negation, not a will. Lots of interesting stuff going on right now. But it all depends on what they decide to do here. Oh, the suspense is killing me. What's gonna happen? Yes. I am big on F6ing, so I do a lot of F6, F3. So we can steal this ring. But I don't think we're allowed to do that. We could also just flux their whole board away. Oh god, we have so many choices. I think we can just go negation pitch trap. Because if they force back, they go to 2 cards, they go up to 3 cards, then we steal them. So I think it's fine for us to like not play around Force of Will here and just have Dak ring. Though I guess that like opens them up to having like turn 2 Jewel. Well, I'm definitely fighting. I'm just like, it's just really hard because I don't really want to pitch either of these. And it's like kind of awkward if I like, I mean, I could just negate pitch flux and then steal this Ruby with Dak. That's still pretty good. But then I'm like left with a Mindbreak Trap that might just be dead. Whereas if I fight over this and they fight back, like it's still okay for us. Yeah, I know, but like, it's not bad. It's not bad. Like if we play negation and pitch trap and they force back, we can still just Dak their ring. It's close. I think it's close. I think I like force pitch trap slightly more than force pitch flux, slightly more than force pitch Dak. No, I think Dak's like super good here. I wouldn't fault anyone for making any of the other 3 plays. I think they're all fine. But like if my opponent sees me pitch Mindbreak Trap here, they're never gonna force back because they probably know they want to force on my turn, right? Ooh, that is such a good draw. That is such a good draw. It's crazy how good that draw is. It's okay if our deck gets countered too, because we do have Flux follow-up as well. Like, not immediately, obviously, but... Nice. Okay, 4 cards in hand for my opponent. I have an active Dak and 2 rubies. See how this goes, I guess. Saga Gaming. Depends on if they have like an Ancient Tomb follow-up or not. At some point, we could flux away their board, though. Ugh. Well. I see. We're just going to pitch Oko Force, and that gives us the opportunity to hit land Ancestral next turn. I think it's better than keeping... I could get rid of Flux. It just leaves us with not very many answers, but it opens us up to... I guess it doesn't really open us up to anything. Yeah, I'm just going to get rid of Oko Force. I think that's fine. Do they have an Ancient Tomb? Question mark. That's the biggest question. Because if they have an Ancient Tomb, that breaks the parity of the, or not the parity, but the advantage bar. Ancient Tomb puts them in the advantage. No Ancient Tomb. All right. I would love to see an island. Sweet. There's no possible... Well... I could technically play Flux, but I think the best play is to just cast Ancestral and Dak. Don't think we need to protect Dak, and I'd rather they invest all their mana into 2 constructs as well. I think it's better to just Ancestral, and then we have a perfect, like, Dak plus 4-card hand. Trap Lumberjack. Could also draw an actively draw Sapphire, maybe. I'd like to draw Force as well, so I did pitch a Force, so I can't be super picky. Ooh, okay. We can just pitch both lands, play a Lumberjack to protect Dak, and then flux their board away and have Force. So, like, this is just nuts, right? Oh, I love it. This deck is so sweet, man. It's such a good time. When it works, it's so much fun. They could technically kill Dak by getting a key. We don't even have to flux, really. We could chump block and steal a construct. We have more artifacts than them. Our construct is bigger. So, like, we don't even have to flux. We could pitch flux to Force here and not even bat an eye. Dak Faden hasn't been good in a couple years, like 2 years or so. But it's reaching a metagame point where it's getting better. The biggest problem with Dak Faden is it has like some pretty unfortunate play patterns versus Urza Saga, because Urza Saga is an end of turn thing. So like you kind of have to play Dak Faden at like weird timings or like have blockers. I guess my opponent could get a needle on Dak Faden, in which case we would just flux the board. But like our construct's bigger than their construct, right? It might be just slightly bigger for like a little while. They still have 5 cards in hand, is worth keeping an eye on. Kind of a wild set. Oh, they went for key. Okay. Kind of wish I still had this Wasteland, so I could go like Flux Wasteland, wipe your board. But I think it's better for me to have Force. Oh, are they going to go unblockable construct here? They have all these Moxen in their hand? Wild. Maybe they were just playing around Mindbreak Trap the whole time. Now if they actually cast something, I could trap it, which is really wild. I didn't think I'd ever be able to trap anything in this game. Academy? That's so bad for me. Holy shit, that's so bad for me. Wow. That's actively a huge nightmare. We lose Dak Faden and they have mana to pay for a lot of their stuff. 2 cards in hand. Okay. It's not over, but it is bad. Taiga. All right. I mean, this Flux is still going to do some work on this board, but not enough. Oh, did I miss? No, I didn't make any mistake here. All right. Definitely wish I had my Wasteland back. Wasteland would be really key. So my opponent has 5, 7, 8, 9 mana. They can only keep 4, and then it taps them out. We take a hit. Probably. We could chump, actually. Chumping is probably... So the problem with chumping is I'm going to lose my Moxen next turn, which means I won't be able to cast a Planeswalker if I were to draw it. But I'm at 19, and they're going to keep maybe 4. This is a really wild game. This Academy feels like one of the only cards that would have gotten them out of this, but it's definitely good here. What could happen? Like, my opponent could have PO here, which I would have to force. Academy's so good. Collector Roof's not even that great on this board. It helps, but I think like it's less good than a Wasteland. I only have 3 wastes left in my deck, though. 2 wastes in my yard. I wonder if I made a... I don't know. I like wanted to keep Flux plus Force, right? I feel like the choices I made in this game were fine. Yeah, we have 2 Wrens as well for Wastelands. I do think this is probably a Lumberjack chump, right? Well, I kept Orcish because I wanted to block and keep my Dak Fade in, which I think was totally fine. Like the only way is if they had like a bunch of mana and went for key. Oh, so they lost the key. So they're gonna keep everything but the key. And keep 2 4/4 constructs. Alright, so this is 8 damage. The only thing I miss out on are 3 and 4 drop Planeswalkers. And I guess it technically might go down next turn, depending on... I guess it wouldn't. It's still going to be 8 damage next turn, but I can live through that unless they draw and play an artifact. How good is a Boo against this board? I guess a Boo is pretty good against this board. Seagate for 3 damage. Play a mana. Play a Time Vault. Okay. Do we force this because we want to save a life and not give them an extra mana next turn? Man, they had natural Vault Key too. Oh no, they didn't have natural Vault Key. They Saga Vault Key. If I counter this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana, they have to lose 1 thing. Pretty sure I'm supposed to counter this. Now I'm gonna not block, and that way I can draw Boo. I think that expands my range of outs here. And then I won't pay for mine. I'll pay for theirs. I don't know if that matters. I'll just pay for neither. All right, lots of good outs here. I have enough mana to cast any spell, really. So what do I got? Orcish Lumberjack. I don't actually think that's terrible, but it's definitely not ideal. It does bind. It's like gain 5 life or whatever. Man, Tolarian Academy, huh? Hell of a magic card. I actually, if we wasteland, it looks pretty bad. They were able to keep everything, so I think it's just really lost, right? I mean, I'm definitely chumping once here. I need 2 of these. 2 cards in hand, pass. All right, draws? Taiga? Why? Our deck did not bail us out in this game. I mean, it bailed us out. We drew really well in the beginning. We drew like Ancestral and Black Lotus and everything, so. Why would we care if we had a Mox? Sorry. Not even sure second Flux is winning anymore. Does that do it? I don't think that does it anymore. Because this just pays for 2, and this pays for 1, and then I die. Sad, Justin. Unlucky. Cool game. Felt like very much. I feel like we win most scenarios from that spot, but the Tolarian Academy with 2 Moxen and the sandbagging in hand was pretty bad. No, in that scenario, Senpai, you're like missing the fact that we like lose a land to do that, and there's like a lot of problems with that play. Damn. I thought we had this game, but the Tolarian Academy was super good. Second Flux. My cards were just in the wrong order, unfortunately. If I had drawn Collector Roof earlier or Flux earlier, pretty easy win, but we drew the wrong cards in the wrong order there. Unlucky. Happens. Not a bad match, though. All right, here we go. 4th and final round with our deck. Our opponent is a known Bizarre gamer, but they've been branching out recently to playing things like Jewel. If I knew for a fact my opponent was on Bizarre, I would slam this hand. If they are on Jewel, this hand instantly loses, which is a really hard part of playing Vintage, is that some of your cards are good versus some decks, and some of your cards are bad versus some decks, and they swap around. I think they're back on Bazaar. I'm going to keep. If I get murdered by Jewel, it's my fault, chat. You can blame me. I mean, I can still lose with this hand against Bazaar, but it's like the best possible hand I can have versus Bazaar, so... Well, my opponent is a Bazaar gamer, but the deck they played literally yesterday was Jewel, so... Swapping it up again. This hand's great against Bazaar, though. It has a Fury to wipe up some free creatures, and it has a Wasteland to answer the Bazaar. It has a second Wasteland to answer the Bazaar after they Noxious Revival it. It'd be kind of fun to... I mean, I'm not asking for Bazaar, but it'd be a nice little... It'd be nice to see Bazaar, because then we would have a bunch of different decks to show off in this video. I love a good balanced video, a little bit of everything, you know? Do it for the content. All right, what do you got for us? Oh, that's not a Bazaar. Oh, no. Oh, no. We're dead. We're dead. We're so dead. We're so dead. We're just dead. It's lost. It's lost. We got turn 1 by Jewel. God damn it. You one trick should stick on the same deck. Ah, classic. Exile paradoxical outcome. Noted. We could have had a nice balanced piece of content, but instead you're just turn wanting me with Jewel. Evil! Evil! How do you go from necromancy to this? My opponent just cast like 5 Moxen off the top with the Mystic Forge. No! Look at this! I wastelanded them and then they just had 6 mana and played Jewel anyway. Wait, what the fuck? I'm confused. Why is there Worm Coil in play? Oh my god. Please get there. Please give me Moxen. It's winnable. It's not winnable, but imagine if it was winnable. It'd be pretty cool. Workshop exiled. Come on. Come on. We can do it. I believe. They didn't play a Jewel. They played a freaking Worm Coil engine. Oh, come on. Come on. Oh, please. 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 Please, chat. 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 4 cards in 51. This game is really good if I draw Mox right now. If I don't, it's like way harder. I hate this game. Okay, it's okay. If they just simply don't play enough mana next turn, we could still flux them. Like, if they play a ring. Like, what if they play a ring? If they play a ring, opponent. Just... Fuck. That pays for everything. Wait! Play a ring! Play a Metamorph. Tap out. Yes! 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 They didn't play around it, chat! They didn't play around it! Goodbye, board. Who asked why we have flux? This is why we have flux. Ah, the main deck energy flux. It's beautiful. They are back up to 4 cards, but we have double Wasteland, so they shouldn't be able to keep everything. So it should be good. Ancient Tomb. I'm just gonna kill it. I want that perfect victory life. Imagine if they had cast Coveted Jewel. uh, it's blessed. Oh, perfect victory! God bless. You do, in fact, love to see it. All right. So, same thing as last time. I still think they're Jewel, right? Like they showed us Ancestral and PO. They just look like they had a main deck Worm Coil for some reason. Oh yeah, there's 2 energy fluxes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yes, there are. What did I take out? I took out Mental Misstep, but I kept it back in on the draw. And then I took out a Wren and a Fable. Is that what it is? Is that what I did? Something like that. Something like that. Maybe I will just play a Pyro for fun. No, it's against my ethics here. Doesn't make sense. Don't do it. Oh, wow. That was awesome. I think Boo is better than Fable just because of how fast it clocks my opponent. And I do think clocking my opponent is extremely important. Ooh. That's an interesting hand. I think this is a keep. This looks like a keep to me. Double Force, Collector Roof. This hand loses to Saga, but besides that, it's really good against my opponent's deck. This hand isn't like unbeatable, right? Like if this was a Wasteland, I think this hand is like amazing, obviously, but it's still good enough. Like I'm having double Force. I'm mulling the Force in this matchup, so having double Force already is great. And I almost even have turn 1 Collector Roof, which is fantastic. But like I said, this hand is like a little weak to like a Saga plus Ancient Doom kind of draw. So. Opponent is on a mold of 5. Consider top decking a Wasteland. I will consider that. I'll keep it in mind when I go to draw my cards. Opponent is still on a mulligan decision to 5 at the moment. What is happening in the Discord at the moment? You know what? I don't want to know. It's not worth knowing. All right, Mox Pearl. You got it. And Mox Petal. You got it. And Ancient Tomb. And the Ring-a-Ding-Ding. I'll just negate the Ring-a-Ding-Ding. Pass. Please don't play Urza's Saga. All right, they did not have Urza's Saga. Thank you. Pass. Please don't play Urza's Saga. They did not play Urza's Saga. Thank you. Ah! Am I supposed to play? Yeah, I think I'm just supposed to play it. Oof, there it is. Force. Pitching force. I think that's fine. There's a lot of value in this Mox with my 3-drop, 4-drop hand. I may have built the worst fucking mana base in all of existence. Maybe. Just maybe. It might be the worst of all time. Aha! All right. Now what do we do? Kind of like Dak. Steel Monolith. Could just be Dak Steel Pearl. Dak Steel Pearl's pretty good too. I think fluxing is worse than just like establishing my planeswalkers, right? Like I still have a counterspell and I have a boo coming. And I have a Dak to get rid of Lumberjack. Turn them into real cards. Defense grid. Sure. I don't know if that changes my plan or not. I could just play Lumberjack and pass. I could just play Lumberjack Flux. Yeah, I can just play Lumberjack Flux now. Because I have Lumberjack to play Boo. So I think that's fine. I'll just play Lumberjack Flux. I have Force. They have to pay for shit, and then it's fine. Like, theoretically, they could use their Monolith to pay for Defense Grid, and then they'd have to have a ton of fast mana to try to win through there. It's pretty much impossible, I think. It's probably their last turn, though, so maybe they go for it. But, like, a ring isn't actually good against Dak Flux. It kind of has to be, like... Workshop Mox Jewel. Right, this time I won't be lazy, so Twitch chat won't be mad at me. I will pay for my emerald. Oh, I should have paid for my pearl, actually, because it would be more cards in my yard for Cruise. I guess theoretically, I might want to just hold open 3 mana for Force. I guess there's no reason not to just DAC first and see what I draw. Like, if I hit a land, I could go just play Fable. And then I can have 3 mana to play Force through... I can play Force through Defense Grid. God, it's been fun. I mean, Flux doesn't trigger right away, right? So treasures are no problem as long as I use them. Now, Collector Roof plus treasures, that's a real combination. All right, let's let this go. We do have an active Feeble. I don't know. I don't really feel like I need a Gataxian Probe in my life, but it's a blue card. I'll just hit done. Oh wait, I need a land so that I can... No, I don't need a land. Well, I do need a land if I want... No, I don't need a land. So I can just take this and turn this into red mana because I have a treasure. And then I can plus on this boo, and I can attack. And then I can pay my Force on their turn still. Also, they have, like, negative health. I guess I can just probe, too, and just see if they have anything that's worthwhile. They do have Tinker, Time Walk, Emerald. Huh. I think I still plus my DAC in case I find Time Walk of my own. I have Beseiju. That's sweet. Okay. Sweet. Big. All right, now I have Force and Beseiju up. Yeah. Woo! Wait, I didn't think this prelim would go very well, but we played against Zero Bazaar. So almost a 4-0, which makes me like, what, 7-3 with this deck in prelims and challenges? Not bad. Not bad. Big. Sweet. That was sweet. I still don't know how to fix this deck and make it better, because I feel like it can be better, but I don't know what the answer is. But it's sweet. I hope you enjoyed it, because I sure as hell did. Orcish Lumberjack, one of my absolute favorite Magic cards. If you want to see more vintage content on this channel, make sure to check out my YouTube channel. Well, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, new YouTube videos. I'll see you then.